This is Jim Lakey with news and announcements for St. John, Kansas and Maxville. We're broadcasting on cable channel 3 and also on sandylandcenter.org, our website. Today is Wednesday, it's the 8th of October. The temperature at the bank is 68 degrees at noontime. And for the next 3 days we have sunny weather with a high temperature of 77. Then on Saturday, it gets to be partly cloudy, 66 the high temperature. And on Sunday, some showers, and 66 the high temperature again with a 40% chance of moisture. We have no birthdays today, but happy birthday tomorrow to Judy Shelton. Judy, we hope you have a great birthday. Well, the newest and probably most interesting announcement is about the flu clinic. And the first 100 shots at the flu clinic are free. It's at the Oddfellows Lodge from 9 to 11 this Saturday on the 11th. And you're asked to please have your Medicare or insurance card available. If you have any questions, call Stafford County Health Department at 549-3504 or 877-519-3504. Then Thursday evening is the time when we have the football game from the previous week, and we will probably only have one copy of the game since St. John and Maxville were playing each other. So at 6:30 tune in and see the game, and some interviews possibly with a coach or two. That would be 6:30 Thursday evening. And we're still looking for sponsors for the football games, both in Maxville and in St. John, or you could sponsor both of them. Also, we remind you that if your group or your family or something has some really great video, hopefully digital video of an event or something that happens or news, you could bring that into Shepherd Center, hopefully on a DVD, or just bring in your camera and we can unload it onto the computer, because we'd like to be able to have more things in our news and in our 90 seconds around the county and some of our broadcasts. We may even come up with an idea for a new program to have on the TV. Well, looking ahead, the 16th is coming up very fast. And Bill Lennox is opening the County Kitchen Family Style and Barbecue on the 16th. That's at 806 First Street across from the IOOF Lodge. And he's been interviewing people at the restaurant, and I guess you have to catch him there because it's like from 9 to 4 or something. He says he's interviewing, but again, he might not be there all of that time. So if you see a car or two there, then go in if you want to interview for working at the barbecue or the restaurant. Then we go on to Thursday, October 14th, and the trip to Alden, Kansas from the Rec Commission. They're going to leave at 11:15, have lunch at the Village Cafe, shopping at Prairie Flower Crafts, a tour of the Santa Fe Depot and Museum, and of the Alden Methodist Church, and return home around 5. The number at the Rec Center is 6549, and you can call them to make a reservation for the trip. Also, the citizens of Stafford County, if you're interested in economic development and you're willing to work on some projects, give Ron Culbert a call at 3347. He's looking for a few folks, hopefully some from every one of the cities in the county. So that's especially St. John and Maxville that'll be listening to this broadcast, but if you're watching on the internet, we need them from all of the other cities too, Hudson and Seward and Radium, and of course Stafford. So hope you'll call. His number is 3347. Ron Culbert. Now we get to the menus and activities, and they'll do the activities at the St. John School first. Thursday is 4:30 cross country away at Sterling, 4:30 to 6:30 junior high volleyball and football at Lewis, and Fire Safety Day for kindergarten through 4th grade, and to be announced regional tennis. Then at 7 o'clock, high school football away at Greensburg. On Saturday, there's at 9 o'clock junior high A-team volleyball tournament in Maxville, and to be announced is sub-state tennis. For lunch at the school in St. John, they're having pepperoni pizza today, chicken fried steak tomorrow, and barbecued rib on a bun on Friday. The Sunflowers today are having baked chicken. Tomorrow they're having smothered steak, and Friday barbecue pork chops. Over in Maxville, they're having smothered steak with onions today, baked ham with cranberry sauce tomorrow, and Huntington chicken, which is a popular favorite, on Friday. And so those are all the news announcements. Now on Sunday, at 11 o'clock, we have live the First Baptist Church, and also at 1 o'clock, we have Theo's Travels, and this week it'll have the homecoming at Maxville, and it'll also have some things from Stafford's Oktoberfest. And then at 4 o'clock is something new that we're trying out, and that will be the church service at First United Methodist Church in St. John from this morning. The service is in the morning, and at 4 o'clock in the evening, you can watch it as it's rebroadcast on Channel 9. So we hope people will stay tuned and let us know if they watch it and if they have suggestions about how to make the program better. And that's true with anything that we have on the TV or the internet. We're always ready to find out how we can do it better. The word of the day is this: don't wait for there to be a crisis to discover what's important to you in life. This is Jim Wakey saying have a great Wednesday.
Good morning. I'm here today with Carolyn Dunn, and you were a speaker at the Republican National Convention this year.
That's right, yeah.
Would you tell us a little about your experience?
How I got to go. Well, I got a call from a staff member in Senator Brownback's office in mid-August, and he basically said, would you like to be a speaker at the convention? I guess they'd been talking for a few days and I had no knowledge of it, but the staffer in Brownback's office was friends with, or aware of some things that were going on in the convention staff, and he knew that they were looking for someone to speak to agricultural or rural issues, but that would be able to speak more than just to specifically farm programs and subsidies. So he knew that I'd been involved with work in that in the ag policy arena back in the 90s when I worked in Washington, D.C., but since I'd been back here in Kansas, had been working in some rural development projects, and thought that I kind of fit the profile of the person they would be interested in, and recommended me, and they'd, I guess, been doing some background work on me, not, unbeknownst to me. So by the time I got the phone call, they'd kind of decided that I'd be a person that they would like to have. In the meantime, I guess there was also another person that came up, so then there was a couple of weeks where I was kind of in limbo, not knowing if it was going to be me or this other woman from the South. But I guess in the end they said that in the corn versus cotton politics, corn won out. So I had a lot of liberty in writing my own speech. I didn't know in the beginning how much they had an idea of what they wanted a message to be, but they really gave me total free rein in writing a speech. So I guess my process was I kind of bounced ideas off of people that I had worked with over the years and knew that were knowledgeable in the area, or whose opinions I respected. So I spent maybe a week kind of going through that process of kind of bouncing ideas off of others, or refining my own speech, and then it went to a speechwriter at the convention. Again, that was part of it, that I didn't know how that would work, if the speechwriter would essentially write the speech and I'd need to sign off on it, but it really worked the other way. I wrote the speech and he made a few maybe minor suggestions, but again, it was really my own. And then after that step in the process, it went to the political team at the convention, you know, McCain's political team, and they made no changes to it, and so then that was it. I had my speech. We went to the convention, and I had a day. Well, I was originally scheduled to speak on Tuesday night, and I had scheduled Monday afternoon, and then also a little bit on Tuesday afternoon, the opportunity to work with a speech coach, and we were in a small room. I had teleprompters set up just as I would in the big auditorium. They coached me on how to read from a teleprompter, and then just some delivery techniques. I had about an hour on Monday and then a half an hour on Tuesday, I believe it was, to do that. You know, some of the things that I thought were kind of interesting, like they coached me to really not even concentrate on, think about what words I was saying. You know, at this point I had gone through the words, and it was, that part was done. I needed to think about my body language, how, and my job was just to simply read the words and not even think about the words, but to think about how I was delivering it. So thank goodness there was no problem with the teleprompters. But they really coached me not to try to memorize it or anything like that. I was originally supposed to speak on Tuesday night, but the schedule of the convention was really changed around because of the hurricane that came into Louisiana during that time, and they basically postponed all of the regular schedule for Monday night. They did just a few like business proceedings to make it a legal convention, but they had no speakers, which meant a lot of the speakers on Monday night went Tuesday, and then I was bumped to Wednesday. So that whole element of the schedule being up in the air really, you know,
Keeps the anxiety level
kept
up.
the anxiety level up. That's exactly right, because we, you know, for a while I didn't even know if I would be speaking at all, because they did cut people, and I'm just glad that I didn't go through the whole process and not have the chance to kind of go through with it, but I did.
How did it feel to speak before 100 million people or so?
Well, a lot of them aren't listening, so in that sense, I guess it's a little easier. Also, as a part of that process of working with the speech coaches, they gave me the opportunity to walk out on the stage. That was Monday afternoon, and there were people milling around in the auditorium. It wasn't, there weren't any proceedings going on at all, but there was a few people around, and you just kind of got the feel of what it was like to stand in that big area. So when I went out on stage, it wasn't for the very first time, but oh, you know, I had butterflies, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be honest. I felt as prepared as I could be at that point. So, and again, like I said, there's some people listening, but there's a lot of people that aren't. So, you don't feel like all eyes are upon you, I guess, in that sense.
Well, it sounds like you had just a great experience with it.
Oh, it was, you know, I tried to really absorb it all, because I know that it'll never happen again. So I tried to just take it all in and appreciate that. And, you know, I also saw it as a good opportunity to talk about the kinds of things that, you know, we see are important here in rural America, but probably don't make headlines in the news a lot. And so I tried to use whatever platform I had to promote those kinds of things that are important to us. So, yeah, and then it was just interesting to see how some of the things work behind the scenes. You know, there's a lot of volunteers that just the logistics of putting on a convention like that, it's a little overwhelming. I'm glad somebody else is good at doing those kind of details because I wouldn't be able to. It's, there's a few staff that are paid, but a lot of that is carried out by volunteers, and just the idea of being able to coordinate and educate those kind of volunteers on that short of a timeline, I think would be just a real project. I don't know. I mean, just a simple example is we stayed at a hotel near the convention, but they provided for the speakers transportation to and from the convention. That made it a lot simpler to get into the convention because there was a fair amount of security. And when we went with this transportation fleet, we didn't have to, you know, stand in the lines and go through the metal detectors
Streamline
and
the
all
whole
that kind of
process,
stuff.
but still coordinating that many
Just-
speakers.
Right, there was probably, I didn't count up exactly, but there was probably 40 or so speakers, 40 or 50 speakers over the course of the convention. And this transportation fleet was all volunteers. I mean, it was, they were, you know, cars that had been provided by a dealership or whatever, you know, and you know, so that part, they had to coordinate that, and then all the drivers were volunteers, and you know, that's just one little aspect of it, but just the constant movement of all those cars and the logistics of getting them from, you know, we weren't all at the same hotel, and we didn't, you know.
Getting them all from
it was
point A
just-
to point B correctly, and
And that's just a little bit of it, you know. There was, I don't even know how many volunteers there were, but another part of it that I think was kind of interesting to see the scale of was the media. There was literally more than a 1-to-1 ratio of media to delegates and alternate delegates. It's just a lot of media there, and I guess it gives you another appreciation for how much people get their information from media as opposed to, you know, any type of direct contact with candidates, and that those candidates, I kind of developed some more empathy or sympathy or whatever for the, you know, the kind of scrutiny that they are always under. I think that would be the side of things that could be kind of difficult as a candidate, to be constantly just under that type of microscope, and it's always there if
it's
you're in
always there for
that
them.
that world of work.
Well, I tried to, of course, catch your speech on both nights, and for some reason, the channel I was watching, the rotten media people, they're all rotten, kept cutting to commentaries and commercials and things of that nature, so I wasn't able to see your speech, but I understand it's available at YouTube.
Right. I think that the GOP taped all of the speeches and then put them on YouTube so that people can always have access to it, I guess.
Well, when we
So-
produce this, we'll try and embed a link to the speech so people can see. It sounds like you had a wonderful time.
It was all good. Yeah.
A real once-in-a-lifetime type of deal.
Yeah, it was. You know, and it was kind of fun that the night that I spoke was the night that Sarah Palin also spoke. I didn't get to meet her. I was kind of hoping that would be the case, but my speech was an hour and a half or so before hers, and they really had a pipeline going. You know, you went in and you had your makeup done and your hair done, and you know, you sat in a green room with the people that were just maybe a speaker or two ahead and behind of you. So, and then I went backstage after her speech was over and the proceedings of that evening were over, hoping that I would also get a chance to maybe shake her hand, but I didn't. So, but it was a night that there was just a lot of energy in that place, and that was exciting and memorable to take in. It was yeah.
And it's got to be just tremendously exciting to take part of in the the American system of government.
That's true. I mean, there's a lot of things that you could probably be cynical about in terms of the way our political process works, with, you know, all good reason. And at the same time, I saw a lot of people there that were there because they were dedicated to just being a part of how our government works for all the right reasons. You know, the delegates that are there, by and large, are paying their own expenses to be there. They're there because they want to be a part of, you know, our civic process, and that's kind of heartening too, to see that not all of it is, you know,
It's not all about politics, it is about civics.
Right.
Well, I don't want to keep you too long because I know the boys are getting a little antsy. You guys want to run up there and be on TV with your mom for a second? So everybody can see you? You got to tell everybody your name and wave at them. What's your name?
Who's this?
Ian.
Ian. And who's this?
Kristen.
Well, wave at everybody. And thank you for coming in today.